You know, Dragonflight does not look like complete garbage. In fact, as more and more information about this expansion has come forward, gameplay and trailers and sneak peeks given to us through beta testing, World of Warcraft and her future seems to be more and more bright. But can we really trust Blizzard to make a good product after the disaster that was Shadowlands? I mean, how many of you even watching this or even playing Shadowlands right now, compared to how many of you guys are playing Wrath of the Lich King? I wonder. The point is, many people are disappointed with Blizzard right now, myself included, and are hesitant to give Dragonflight a chance. And I'm right there with you guys, but I will give some credit and charity where credit and charity is due. And that is why today, with this video, I would like to talk about the 3 things that I feel can give us a little bit of hope for Dragonflight and the future of the modern World of Warcraft game. 3 things that, at least from what I have seen, nobody's really talking about too much, at least not some of them. But before we hop into talking about these things, let us briefly address the current state of the game and the sins that have been committed by Blizzard Entertainment. The current state of World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft over the years has been getting further and further and further away from the roots of the Warcraft fantasy, and this is something that I have talked about on streams and in previous videos, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. In Shadowlands, we had this very odd story set in the afterlives of World of Warcraft, or at least its universe, with all these strange characters, new lore, claiming that the old lore, like all that Warcraft 3 stuff, Classic, WoW, TBC, everything, the Lich King, it was all just a big plan of this newer, stronger, cooler villain. And people absolutely hated it. I made a video recently talking about it, why Shadowlands, like the story failed. You can go watch that after this video. I'll talk about it again at the end of this one. Anyway, people clearly appreciate old World of Warcraft fantasy for what it was. They loved it. Playing Warcraft 1, playing Warcraft 2, and obviously Warcraft 3, which was the most successful of the 3. Now, obviously, classic World of Warcraft back in 2004 when it came out was very successful because it was coming off of the story of Warcraft 3. So there was a lot of stuff lined up for Blizzard to work off of. Later on, the Burning Crusade reintroduced Illidan to the game, who was a fan favorite, and Wrath of the Lich King allowed us to conclude our fight against Arthas the Lich King and finally get vengeance for Lordaeron, Uther, King Tyrannus, Quelt the Loss, you know, all the events of Warcraft 3. But you know, since the end of Wrath of the Lich King, things have been kinda when it comes to the story. Then there was Mists of Pandaria. Now, Mists was an awesome expansion, don't get me wrong. It just suffered from the look of it and the theme of it all. That's the only downside to Mists of Pandaria. Warlords of Draenor also had fantastic potential. Tons of people were excited for it, but it was during this time that Blizzard had all their internal issues, so although the premise of World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor was awesome, there just wasn't really a lot of content, and the garrison system didn't end up being a big success, and it just kind of all collapsed. Legion, though, now that was an amazing expansion. That took us right back to the Warcraft 3 Demon Invasion days. It took us back to those TBC vibes. Delicious. Battle for Azeroth was just kind of meh, but then there was Shadowlands, and Shadowlands was an absolute dumpster fire of an expansion from a story perspective. The point is that the current state of World of Warcraft right now is not very positive. Not only because the game and its story is just not that good at the moment and people have not been that receptive to it, but also because of all the internal issues that Blizzard Entertainment has faced. But there's also a little bit of hope in many people's hearts because they love World of Warcraft, they love Azeroth, they really genuinely want to see Blizzard succeed, they want to see their favorite games succeed, and so now we have Dragonflight. So let's talk about the future of World of Warcraft. Now we have Dragonflight on the horizon, which I said has 3 things really going for it, at least in my opinion, in terms of its potential success. 3 things that I think that Dragonflight is fixing from previous expansions going all the way back to Cataclysm. The first thing is that in many ways, Dragonflight is returning to original Warcraft established lore. Now, when I say this, I don't necessarily mean Warcraft 3. That is the Warcraft RTS game that is the most popular, that most likely everybody here has played. At least I hope so. It's a fantastic game. The dragon aspects were not in that game, though, but they certainly were present all throughout Classic WoW. TBC established their lore further with books. In Wrath of the Lich King, we even got to meet many of them, like Alexstrasza, Malygos, Ysera, Nosdormu. and so on. And then, of course, we got to see these characters return in Cataclysm. The whole Cataclysm expansion was about them and learning about them and their lore. And so these are characters that, yes, maybe they were not established so much in the original Warcraft games, a little bit, but they were definitely established throughout the first, grand period of World of Warcraft's history. These are characters that people know, they love, and damn, you better believe they love cosplaying as them, especially Alexstrasza. And that's the first thing with this expansion that I think is really cool. It's the fact that no real new lore is being created. Even recently, Blizzard teased their Dragonflight animated series and we got to see Galakrond in it. So nothing new is really being established here. We're just going off of lore that we already know and that we already love. There's no new stupid bad guy who has this master plan and has been manipulating everything. There's no reality-breaking nonsense, alternate dimensions, or time travel, and that's good. It's just a magic dragon island filled with characters that we know, that we love, and they're going on a grand adventure. And this leads me to a very, very crucial point, number 2, in why I'm excited for Dragonflight, or why I'm a little bit hopeful for it. And that is that Dragonflight is, in a way, returning to original fantasy. I want to ask you guys a question. What is the most popular fantasy book ever written? Go. Well, the answer is The Hobbit. And what is The Hobbit about in one sentence? Tell me. It's about a small hobbit and some dwarven friends going to a treasure-filled mountain guarded by a dragon. And that's it. Now, what the heck is Shadowlands about in one sentence? It's about us going to the afterlives to stop Sylvanas from rewriting reality with the help of a jailer guy that we're told nothing about, and they require lots of souls, which disrupts the souls going into the other afterlives, and then she corrupts Anduin to kill the afterlives leaders. What the hell's going on? All right? And you're probably sitting there wondering, all right, Nixxiom, what the hell is your point? My point is this. What is the story of Dragonflight? Tell me what the story of Dragonflight is. I'll tell you what it is. Here it is. You see that big-ass dragon island over there with all that magical treasure and stuff? Let's go over there. That's it. That's the story. And it's great. It's just original fantasy. And let me explain why. In fantasy, the story is always typically about going on some sort of great journey, both externally as well as within. Like with Bilbo Baggins going to the Lonely Mountain, learning to be brave and finding his worth as a hobbit in a big, big world. Or Frodo carrying the burden of evil upon his neck, seeking to undo its weight in the fires of Mount Doom. It's a journey. And fantasy isn't too overly complicated typically, because really, it doesn't need to be to tell a good story. Look at Game of Thrones. Despite all of its complex characters and houses, it's all pretty simple. It's just that most of everybody, at least the main characters, they just want power or some form of recognition in one way or another. Many of them want to sit on the Iron Throne, and values and morals are typically tossed aside for toxic materialism. It's simple. It makes for a good story, an adventure, people fighting over the same thing, like even in Mists of Pandaria, it was the Horde and the Alliance. And what are they fighting over? Pandaria, this new landmass. In Game of Thrones, it's the Iron Throne. It doesn't need to be complicated. We don't need to be going to alternate realities and afterlives and rewriting the cycle of life and death. And I just want to climb a mountain. I just want to climb a mountain and look out across the horizon like Lewis and Clark and be like, wow, look at that horizon. I want to go chase that. That's it. And finally, the third thing that I think makes Dragonflight look good, or at least it's something I'm letting myself get a little hopeful for, it's that Blizzard is not really doing anything new with this expansion. Blizzard is returning to simplicity with their storytelling. There is no giant threat or anything of the sort. Sure, something will present itself at some point, but we need to find that something, and that is exciting. It is traditional fantasy at its best, and even if we have an idea of who or what the bad guy is, we don't really know what to expect once we encounter him, even if it is Galakrond or something. Just like how Smog was able to speak once we reached him in the Lonely Mountain. That was surprising for a lot of people. Or meeting characters like the Witch King of Agmar along the way in Lord of the Rings, it made us shudder in fear. So now, whatever evils lie on the Dragon Isles, that can fill us with excitement and a feeling of discovery, and that's exciting. I like the unknown aspect of it all. So unless you're one of those people that you just dive into the data mining like constantly because you just want everything to be spoiled, I mean, more power to you. Just not me. Oh yeah, it's just not me. Blizzard also really just seems to be focused on creating fun with World of Warcraft Dragonflight, just fun gameplay. You get a new race, a new class with these unique abilities that we've never seen before, dragon flying, new ways to do combat like removing pure tab targeting. Even from a gameplay perspective, the game looks promising because there's no insane new systems being added to it that change the entire game and how it works, at least to my understanding. We're even seeing a lot of classic WoW influence, like the return of these talent trees that are obviously classic WoW inspired, and I think they look fantastic. UI changes, lots of little things and little decisions that I think are gonna make Dragonflight a pretty good expansion. And you know what? I'll give you one more. I'll give you the fourth reason, the main reason why Dragonflight looks awesome and why there is hope. And I'll tell you what it is right now. Tuskar are coming back. These little furry sons of bitches, man, when they were first introduced in Wrath of the Lich King, they became the greatest thing that Blizzard Entertainment ever conjured in their peanutty minds. They were the greatest thing that Blizzard ever came up with, ever. Screw Arthas. Garrosh, shut up. Tuskar, greatest thing ever. And they're coming back with Dragonflight to fish, to say Cheshkalashka, and to tell us to stay warm. Fucking love Tuskar. And I heard, all right, now you didn't hear this from me, but one of you assholes left a comment on one of my videos, and you said something about it being data mined that Tuskar are gonna be an allied race. Now, I don't know if you were lying, but you better not have been, because I really want the Tuskar to be a playable race. That would be badass. I love Tuskar. They're fat, just like me. Damn. I just like Tuskar, what can I say? The current state of World of Warcraft might be grim right now, my friends. But because Blizzard is returning to classic fantasy storytelling, or at least a more simple form of storytelling with this expansion, because they're focusing on pre-established lore, because we're seeing Blizzard not doing anything overly new or complex, just focusing on the fun with this expansion, and of course, because we're seeing the return of Tuskar in Dragonflight, we have a lot to look forward to with this expansion. Now, I said it, and you said it, and we all said the same thing for Shadowlands. For Warlords of Draenor, we all got hyped, and we were all disappointed. And that could very well happen again. It could. But for right now, so far, things look all right. And I'm gonna hold out, you know, a little bit of hope. I guess we'll see what happens. Guys, if you want to hear my rant on what I believe went wrong with Shadowlands, I highly encourage that you click the video on your screen right now. I talk about Sylvanas, I talk about the failures of the Jailer storytelling. We talk about a lot with this project, so if you want to watch it, click it now. Big shout out to the members. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you with my next video.